Hey, class, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and add to our truth tables in section 3.4. If you are looking in the book, that is going to start on page 138. Not much of the lesson on here that you're going to see comes from the actual book, so you don't actually have to stay with me in the book this time. But if you need to go back, that's the section where the section starts. Okay, so let's discuss here just a little bit, take a step back. When we talked about conditionals, remember that's an if-then statement. When we talked about biconditionals, that's when you have if and only if in between two thoughts. Okay, so we're going to add to, remember that we have the rules right now. If you have a conjunction, you're going to have true and true make true. If you have a disjunction, you would have false or false make false. So these are the two rules that you have practiced over the last day or two or three. And so what we're looking now is to add on with the conditional and the biconditional. So real important for this conditional is you know which part is which, okay? So the if part, or the antecedent, comes before the arrow. The then part, or the consequent, comes after the arrow. And this is very important for the rule in order to apply it, okay? So the conditional is false only when the antecedent is true and the consequent is false, okay? So here's where it makes a big difference. You have to look at where is the arrow and what comes before it, because whatever comes before it has to be true. Whatever comes after the arrow has to be false, and then the answer is going to be false. So this is the shortcut. If you've been keeping up with those, this is a good way to remember how the order goes in order for a conditional statement, okay? So in this case, P is before the arrow, so P has to be true. So I'm going to come over here to the P column and put a true above it. Q comes after the arrow, so I'm going to come over here to the Q column and put a false, and this is what has to happen in these particular columns. So as I go down, I'm looking for a TF, and here's where I find it, which means the outcome is going to be false. I go back and I look again, and I don't have it anywhere else, so everything else is going to be true. Okay? All right, so remember, it's very important that true is before the arrow, false is after the arrow. All right, so in this one, when I look at my original given statement, I know that I'm starting with P and with Q, and then I look, I have a single negated P, so I need a column for that. I have a single negated Q, so I need a column for that. I don't have any parentheses, so my next thing is the whole thing, and that's what goes next in my table. Okay? So negation of P is the opposite here. So false, false, true, true. Negation of Q is the opposite here. So false, true, true. Now I'm looking for my rule. So I'm going to run back through my shortcut. It says true, arrow, false equals a false answer. So before the arrow is the negation of Q. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make a cheat note. This one has to be true. Negation of P is after the arrow. It has to be false. So I'm going to come over here and make a cheat note that that one has to be false. So when I look to these two columns, I'm looking for T and an F, and this is where I find it, so my answer is false. Everything else is not in that correct order, so they're all going to be true. Now I'm going to jump back a slide. See how these were in order? True to false, P to Q. And these are not in order in my table. That's why it's so important that you decide what is first and make a little cheat that will help you. Remember, that's the column that has to be true. This one, so this is the column that has to be false. And now that I've got that cheat, I don't have to keep looking back at that rule because I've already decided that this one has to be true and this one has to be false. Okay? All right. So when you did the previous assignment, number 63 and 64, they came out to be all false for 63 at the end of the table and all true for 64 at the end of that table. So those actually are special cases, and the first one is called a tautology, and that's when everything is true, no matter which way you say it, it's going to be a true statement. If you're in a conditional statement, the tautologies are called an implication, but mainly I'm going to be seeing, I'm going to have you know this word, a tautology. I just wanted to tell you that if you ever see the word implication, it's because it's just a special case, a conditional statement that's all true. All right, and then the other one we said was all false. So if you have a table where everything ends up being a false statement, that is called a self-contradiction. And that means that nothing that you say is true, or however you say it is true. Okay. All right. So I am actually, this down here, you can just delete that. We're not going to go through that one at the moment. We'll do that some other time. Okay. So let's look at the biconditional rules. So these are the ones that say if and only if. So the biconditional is kind of tricky, but only tricky in the fact that it has two answers or two reasons. So this one says the biconditional is going to be true, okay, only when both statements have the same truth value, okay? So notice it doesn't give you true and false. It says they have the same truth value. So if they are the same, that means they can both be true or they could both be false. And so the shortcut for that would look like this. True if and only if true equals true. Same truth value makes a true statement. False if and only if false makes a true statement. Okay, so this is kind of the one that gets you because maybe when you're looking at the letters it doesn't make sense, but when we start to put words into this, you'll see that the statement doesn't make, or it does make sense because you're negating both parts, and that's why it comes out to be a true statement. Okay. All right, so here we are with a P, if and only if, Q. That means I'm looking to see for the same truth value down here. Here they have the same TT, makes T, no, no, yes, again, because they have the same truth value, and it makes it true. Okay, so again, same truth value makes a true statement. That's where I get it. If it doesn't follow the rule, then it makes a false answer. All right. So if we look at checkpoint 4, I'm going to write this for you so you still don't have to get it, your notes or your book open. Sorry, I've paused there a little bit longer than I meant to. Okay, so it says P All right. P or Q, if and only if not P, then not Q. Okay. So looking at this, to make our table across the top, we're looking for negation of anything single. So I have a negation P I need. That's all the single negations. Then I need a group. So I need this in a group and this one's in a group. And that one's in a group. So those are my two groups. And then when I work my way outside, it ends up putting those two things together with the if and only if statement. And so that will be in my last column. Okay. All right, so then we're going to go through and do the opposite of P and then put P or Q together. Not P, if not P, then Q. And then we'll put those together with if and only if. So if you want to pause the video for a minute and try these on your own, then you can come back and I'll give you the explanation of it. All right, so negation of P is going to be opposite here. So false, false, true, true. P or Q says false or false makes false. So I'm looking for these two to both be false right here, which makes that one false. Everything else will be true. If then, so if true, then false answers false. So I need the negation of P to be true. This is my little side note. Q has to be false. So this is what I'm looking for as I go down through here. I get it on the last row, and the answer is false. Everything else does not follow the rule, so that's true. All right, and then I'm adding the if and only if. So that's true, true, make true, or false, false, make true. So I'm looking for this to be T and T, or F and F. So I'm looking between these two. Here I got TT. Here I got TT. Here I got same matches. Here I got matches. So in this case, they all end up being matched. And therefore, this happens to be a tautology. Okay. All right, let's try a couple more here on your notes paper. This one says P, if P, then not Q. So again, feel free to pause the video anywhere you want so that you can try it first and then come back and look at it. So I need a negation Q. There's no parentheses, and so if P, then not Q. I need to identify before the arrow is true, after the arrow is false. So I'm going to come over here. This one has to be true. This one has to be false. That's what I'm looking for there. So when I negate Q, I'm doing the opposite. False, true, false, true. And then I'm going to do this one where I get T, F makes false. T, F, nope. T, F, nope. T, F, nope. So everything else would be true. Okay. The next example is number 2. So I need a negation P. Again, feel free to stop your video, try this on your own, and then come back and look. Negation P, no set of parentheses. So if not P, then Q. So if we negate the P, that's the opposite of this one. False, false, true, true. Here, before the arrow is true, after the arrow is false. So I'm going to move this one. Has to be a true. Q has to be false. So I'm looking to match that up. Nope, nope, nope. Yes. So this one is a false answer. If it didn't match the rule, then it's going to be true. All right. We got one more on here. This one's a little bit bigger. And there's the question on this. This all came from, the last three came from the book and part of your assignment that you're going to get. Is this a tautology? So we need to complete the table and then check to see if all of these are for tautology true. So I need single negated P. I need a single negated Q. Oops, sorry. Q. Then we do parentheses. So P and Q, not P or not Q. And then we're going to put them together with an and sentence. So P and Q and not P or not Q. All right. Opposite P, false, false, true, true. Opposite Q, false, true, false, true. P and Q, this is a true and true make true. So I'm looking for P and Q all the way back over here. Two trues make a true. I don't have that anywhere else. False, false, false. Or false, false, make false. I'm looking for the negation P, which is this column. Negation Q, this column. So where are there two falses? False, false, make false. No, no, no. So the rest of these are all going to be true. All right. Then we're going to put this group and this group with and. So now I need true and true make true between here and here. Two trues? No. Two trues? No. Two trues? No. Two trues? No. Which means none of them follow the rule. So everything is going to be false. All right. So is this a tautology? No. Instead, since they're all false, this would be a self-contradiction. All right, so we have this is the assignment that you're going to do, and we just did 3 of these problems. So your assignment is to finish the other ones on a piece of paper, and that will be your practice for this basic conditionals and biconditionals assignment. See you next time.